Hey guys, so today I'm going to do just a quick video about some of our favorite read aloud collections. Now we do a ton of read alouds that are just, single, like picture books and that kind of a thing. But today I wanted to do a video more about our collections of stories and things that we have that we love to just cycle through. And I have a 6-year-old son, and these are some of his favorites to go through. And so I'm just going to share some of those with you. Just kind of a side note, I am an Usborne Books and More consultant, so a lot of these, or a few of these, are Usborne books and collections, and that's why we have so many. And he loves these, so this is one of them. This is the collection of the Wizard of Oz. So this is one of the illustrated originals. So this is the original story, as it says right here, complete and unabridged. So it is not like, altered to be, more kid-friendly or, whatever. But there are illustrations in it. And the illustrations are gorgeous. And there's obviously lots of chapters and that kind of thing. So we are going through this book. My son is really into wizards and fantasy and that kind of thing right now. And so I read or try to read like at least a chapter a day, and they have these nice little ribbon bookmarks. And this is one that we're going through. Here's another set that we love, and this is the Grimm's Fairy Tales. And again, it's illustrated. And this is something, that an older kid could read to themselves, but they make perfect read alouds for this age, and even younger. My son has loved these since he was about 4 or so, and now he's 6.5. So we just go through one fairy tale every time we read it. And I don't necessarily sit down and just like each day, go through a fairy tale of this. Sometimes we do a fairy tale out of this. Sometimes we do a chapter out of Wizard of Oz. It just kind of depends on what we're doing. Before I jump to that, I'll do these. These are just more. These are the of the same type of book. So these are all the Usborne ones. We actually have more of the Usborne books downstairs, but these are just the ones I brought up. So this one is, these are mostly, I don't know, I feel like boyish themed. We have one that's like just for fairy tales that's downstairs. We also have girl themed ones that we don't own, but I mean that Usborne sells. This one is the action stories for young readers, and it's just got a lot of good classics in it. Robin Hood, and the illustrations are just beautiful. My son really, 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 really enjoys these. I can't tell you how much he enjoys these. And I'm trying to see here we go. Robin Hood, Gulliver's Travels, Moonfleet, Around the World in 80 Days, Robinson Crusoe, and the Canterville Ghost. So, and we kind of skipped through, like, if there's one, like, he wanted to read the Canterville Ghost, so we read that one. They don't have to be read in order, obviously. And I mean, just look at, there's tons of illustrations. So it's perfect for younger kiddos to get, some classic reading, but still be entertained. So anyway, these are great. We actually haven't started this one yet. I love Charles Dickens. So we're going to go through some of this this next year. So for his school year, because I do homeschool. But look, I mean, there's just so many illustrations. Like, it really makes these books accessible for young kids. And my son's name is Oliver. So obviously, this is Oliver Twist that we're flipping through right now. So he was kind of excited about reading all that. And they do, this is not, the full out originals. They do abridge these some to make them more, child friendly and a little bit smaller and that kind of thing. So obviously, but I'm super excited. I just feel like it's fantastic that we have some of these great classics in a format that he can really enjoy. This one is one we're in right now. As you can see, the ribbon's like halfway through, but The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And again, tons and tons and tons of illustrations. So it's got some other stories of White Fang, Phantom of the Opera, which I cannot wait to get to, Kidnapped, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which my son is like really excited about. So, but yeah, just look at those illustrations. So fantastic. Okay. I feel like every home library should have a couple sets of those. So moving on. This is The Complete Tales of Winnie the Pooh. I also feel like everyone should own this book. This is the original. And I mean, gosh, the illustrations are the original, illustrations, and they're just so sweet. And I just love this book. I grew up with my family reading this aloud to me, so it's kind of close to my heart. And I am really enjoying reading this to him. We are, I think we're about halfway through this book, or more than halfway. Okay, so, and he loves Winnie the Pooh, so that's been a fun one to kind of go through. I don't know if you've never read this, it has such a unique style of writing. Like it sounds like the way Winnie the Pooh talks is so whimsical, and it's just fun to read. So here's two more, and I got these in the bargain section at, and I think they were even cheaper than this. I can't remember. I think there was an extra percentage off, but Greek myths and adventure stories for children. And it's got some nice illustrations in it. And so this has been fun. And these are books that will last him, I feel like, several years more still. So, and he's really into this one right now, the Greek myths. So, I mean, super cool. So anyway, that's been fun. So we're going through, we've started some of this. I'm trying to make him he really wants me to read more of it, but I'm trying to wait until next year. We're doing world history and we'll be studying ancient. So I feel like that would be a good time to jump into that, but we have done some out of it and he really enjoys that. Okay. This is a collection. I don't know if there's more than 4 books in the series, but I have 4 of them. And this is the original one, Noggin the King. This is so stinking cute. These books, as you can see, are fairly small, and they are hardcover. And they're inexpensive. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand. And they're just simple, illustrations, simple text. Sorry, I'm trying to flip through it to kind of show you. So there's not too much writing on each page. Really, he could probably read this to himself, in a year or 2. I don't know. He's still reading like the beginner books right now, but maybe by next year he'll be reading this to himself. But he loves it. He's really into knights and castles and all that kind of stuff. So we have these, and it's just whimsical and cute. So we've been reading these, and he loves for me to read those to him. So those are fun. Frog and Toad Treasury. We've read through this whole thing a couple times now, and he loves this as well. So, and again, this is one of those that in another year he probably will be able to read this himself. But this is the complete set of the Frog and Toad stories in one book, and I believe I also got this in the bargain section at Barnes and Noble. So, or I ordered it online. I really can't remember. I want to say I only paid $8 or something for it. Anyway. Another Usborne book. This is the Classic Stories for Little Children. I believe there's 4 stories in this. This one is very similar to the these style books, the illustrated classics, but it's larger illustrations, more illustrations, and less text per page. So it's for the slightly younger audience, and so it is abridged even more than the other ones are. This one I feel like would be great for even preschoolers, where the other ones, I would say are more like I said, my son enjoyed them at 4, but I would say some 4-year-olds might have trouble sitting still for those stories, where these, would be perfect. He has loved these since he was 3.5 or so. So anyway, and I can't remember the 4 that are in here. Wizard of Oz. I know it's in it. Okay, Railway Children, Wizard of Oz, Secret Garden, Wind in the Willows, and The Story of Heidi. And we have read that through the whole book a couple times. He loves the Wind in the Willows one. This is another collection, the complete Brambly Hedge set. So there are, I think it's 4. We haven't gone through all. Oh, it's more than 4. I'm sorry. So those are the stories. And of course, I've got a shadow on here, and it's not wanting to focus. Spring Story, Summer Story, Autumn Story, Winter Story, The Secret Staircase, The High Hills, Sea Story, and Poppy's Babies. And it follows the life of a little family of mice. And it's just really sweet and and just kind of another classic. And so the illustrations are just so detailed and gorgeous. And my son actually like really enjoys the illustrations. He likes trying to find little things in it that you may not see at first glance, little bugs or whatever, you know. It's just fun, and imagining, you know, the little mouse having a life. And anyway, just a cute, like this one is just such a, I mean, that's their home, and it's just kind of fascinating for him to look through. So it's just been great. A great little book to go through. And we haven't gone through the whole thing yet. This has been fun though. We started this spring, and we're just kind of working through it slowly since it's summertime. My son is a huge fan of Paddington, so I had to pick this up when I found it on sale. It's 6 of the Paddington stories and the original illustrations. And it's the stories are Paddington, Paddington at the Palace, Paddington at the Zoo, Paddington at the Garden, Paddington at the Marmalade Maze, and Paddington the Artist. And we have read through this whole book already. And it is so cute. My son, like I said, my son just loves Paddington. Ever since the movie came out, then we had to, you know, get all the Paddington books. And so it's such a cute little set. So anyway, we went through a chapter a day and got through that. And of course, you got to have Dr. Seuss. He loves all Dr. Seuss books. And we have several of just like the single books by themselves. But I found this little collection, and it was it was in the bargain section. Or I got it at TJ Maxx. Okay. And so it's got a ton of little stories in it, and it's got, and to think I saw it on Mulberry Street, 500 Hats of Bartholomew Cubbins, Horton Hatches the Egg, Yertle the Turtle, and Other Stories. So that one's not just one. How the Grinch Stole Christmas in the Lorax. So you can kind of see some of the fun illustrations and all that. The Grinch Stole Christmas. And it's all that nice classic. It just combines a bunch of Dr. Seuss books in one convenient book. So we're enjoying this one. And we have gone through, I think, this whole book once already. And we're going to be working through it again. He really loves Dr. Seuss. So who doesn't love Dr. Seuss? And this is the last book that we've been working through. This is kind of a unique book. So this is also by Usborne. And the author of this, Stephen Cartwright, all of his books, he does a hidden duck, even if it's not super hidden, but there's a duck on each page, so you always have to kind of find the duck. So it's like a side kind of a fun thing that is neat about any of his books, and there's several of them. So there's the illustrations. This follows the life of a farm family and their adventures on the farm. And what's fantastic about this, especially for my son is going to be first grade, is it is a reader, and it's what's called a dual reader. So the story has writing up top, and that your child can read, and then the bottom, the parent can read until the child is, advanced enough to be able to read both themselves. And what's great about it is if the child can say only read this part, you can go through the entire book and only read this top line, and it will still make sense. You can go through the entire book and read just the bottom part, and it will still make sense, which is great. And like I said, on every single page, there is a duck hidden in the illustration. So there's the duck there. There's the duck there. And so that's kind of a fun bonus. So he has to read. When we go through this, I have him read the top part, and then I read the bottom part, and then we get to find the duck. So it's kind of like his little incentive. But he loves these. They're just fun. See, there's the duck, and there's the duck. So fun to have that, to be encouraging, because normally he'd look at this and go, I can't read all that. But he only has to read this part, and then I read the bottom part. And, that helps it have more interest to the story. Where normally when it's just a book that he has to read himself, they're short, like just this line and that line, and that's okay, but he prefers something that has more, more to it. And so this makes it, a little easier. So those are our read aloud collections, just some of them. We have more, but those are the main ones that we've been going through this year. And I hope that that has been helpful, and that it has kind of inspired you guys to maybe look for some new read alouds. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks.